Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Protesters are expected to hit the streets of Cincinnati tonight as new graphic video was released of a deadly showdown between a cop and a civilian that ends in tragedy, leaving the suspect dead and a nation in outrage. You're looking at the body cam footage of police officer Ray Tensing. The footage was released yesterday, and you can see and hear everything that happened during the incident. 43-year-old Samuel Dubose was pulled over for having his license plate displayed on the front dash window and not in front of his car. The driver then failed to give the officer his driver's license, and as you can see here, the situation quickly begins to escalate. Within moments, there is a brief struggle, and then the suspect is shot, almost point blank in the head. Now, the police officer has stated from the very beginning that he was dragged by the car, the Honda Accord, and that he thought he was going to get run over. He thought that his life was in danger. He feared for his life, so he pulled his weapon and he shot the driver. But if you look closely at the video, that isn't what happened. From the rev of the engine to the fatal gunshot to the head, less than 3 seconds go by. And keep in mind that this was just a routine traffic stop near the University of Cincinnati's campus. The officer wasn't dealing with someone who was wanted for murder. No, he was dealing with someone without a front license plate. In my opinion, a pretty ridiculous reason to get pulled over to begin with by a campus cop. He certainly didn't deserve to lose his life over it. Now, police officer Ray Tensing has been indicted for murder and charged with intentionally killing the man. If convicted, he could go to prison for life. Now, city officials were hesitant to release the body cam footage in fear that there might be major protests and riots to follow. But they did the right thing, and they released the footage and also charged the cop with murder. And Joe Biggs is with us right now on the scene in Cincinnati. And Biggs, I think it was a good idea for city officials to release the video to the public and charge the cop with murder. It's my guess that we might see some protests tonight, but not much rioting. What do you think?
Yeah, it's good to see the city of Cincinnati really step up to the plate and kind of be an example for other instances like this that'll probably happen in the future. They got right to the point. You know, they looked at the footage. Without a doubt, that is straight up murder. They indicted him. I mean, this happened in about 10 days, which is usually pretty unheard of with these cop killing incidences where they've, shot someone unarmed. So with that being said, and the way that they basically brought swift justice, that's why you're going to see more protests instead of riots, I believe. Now, there's still a lot of people out here that are very upset at the fact that, a man was murdered for not having a license plate on the front of his car. And earlier today, I had the opportunity to kind of go out to that site. It's on Rice Street, just about northeast of the university campus, just right outside of the outskirts there. And it's a nice little quiet area. And, there's a house right there. When I was there, the family said that they were there when it happened. Just to sit there and hear that, to hear a cop completely turn into a maniac and shoot someone in the head and murder them right there.
That's right. And it was a campus cop, and I think it's ridiculous for campus cops to pull somebody over for not having their license plate on their front windshield, or for not having it on front of the car, because he did have it placed on the front of his windshield. Hey, I want to talk about the Craigslist post that was put up yesterday in Cincinnati, and apparently it called for all black people to shoot the cops and burn the police stations. And it even included graphic instructions on how to target the police. So no doubt there are some very angry folks out there. Then the cops might want to watch their backs. Have you heard of any threats to police since you've been there?
No, I came across this post yesterday and sent it over to Mikhail Thalen, who put up the article on it. And I mean, that alone is alarming, but at the same time, you have to look at it. Now, is this an actual disturbed person who's very upset with what happened? The fact that, Sam Dubose was murdered by a cop, or could this be a provocateur putting this up to further create tensions and possibly start a riot based off of that? So you never know with these things, but it's always good to keep that in the back of your head that something like that could possibly happen. I know that the law enforcement has been notified of this. Numerous other places have picked this up and are talking about that Craigslist ad. So it's definitely something that's in the back of everyone's mind.
Yeah, I think it was just trash talking, but obviously the cops do need to watch their backs. And what about this guy's rap sheet? I mean, Samuel Dubose, he'd been arrested like 60 plus times prior to the incident. Do you think the campus cop might have ran his name and maybe got a little nervous?
I mean, that's always a possibility, but at the same time, you're supposed to be a peace officer, which
That's right.
means you go in, you find out what's going on. If things, tense up, then you de-escalate the situation and you start off with, hey, excuse me, sir, can you calm down? Can you do this or that? At no time was this police officer's life in jeopardy. You can see that clear in the video. The fact that he reached for his gun and shot him, point blank right dead in the head is completely out of control. This should open up the eyes of a lot of people across America. There definitely needs to be some changes in the way these police officers are trained. And I don't necessarily think that they should have their own campus cops with guns. This is something that the Cincinnati police should, I think, take over because they have more experience with this.
Well, I was going to say, I absolutely agree with you. And it certainly is a tragedy. And now we know that Dubose had just been recently engaged. And there was a very heartfelt interview yesterday about he's got a 9-year-old son that was talking about how him and the family went out and bought a film projector. They were going to watch a movie. So they're going to have movie night. And obviously his father never made it home that night. So our hearts and prayers go out to the entire Dubose family. Joe Biggs, any last comments? What's on the schedule tonight? You going to go to protest? What do you got planned?
Yeah, I'm going to be hanging around the University of Cincinnati later on. This seems to be the forefront of where a lot of the protests have been. But I'm going to be quite honest with you, Darren. I got a rental car, and guess what? It does not have a license plate on the front. So I'm kind of sketched out. I'm wondering every time a car goes by me or a cop, am I going to get pulled over and shot in the head because I don't have this, license plate on the front of my car?
That's right. You might get shot. So watch your back. Watch your back also tonight out there during those protests.
All right. Thank you.
Brain Force is here. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this the last few months. You probably noticed I've been more crazed, more focused, less brain fog, more energy, more special reports, and it's because of Brain Force.
We kept changing this formula over and over and over again until it became sort of a grand puzzle. For example, the L-theanine inside of it, that is activated by the different compounds in the yerba mate that we put inside of it as well. This just increases the compounds you already have.
This is what you're actually designed to run on.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a car will run on one form of junkie gas, but it runs really good on what it's designed for.
And that's the principle of Infowars Life, as far as I understand, that you've always had, is that it's not about synthetic chemicals and forcing actions. It's about letting your body do its own thing and giving your body the tools it needs to create these different compounds that are super valuable and super beneficial.
You will find Brain Force and other game-changing products at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.